gift is a seed. You can easily be the change that we need. Keep your mind alert and your heart with peace. Be the change that we want to see. Yeah, don't share your gift. Yeah, your gift is a seed. You can easily be the change that we need. Keep your mind alert and fill your heart with peace. Be the change that we want to see.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Mentality Unchained. I'm your host, Dr. Kevin Thomas, the neighborhood therapist. Before we get started, y'all hit that subscribe button, leave me some comments, subscribe, follow me on Mentality Unchained everywhere you can get to. Your podcasts, your radio podcasts, whatever. Just follow Mentality Unchained. So today, I'm going to talk a little bit about relationships, partnership, love, singleness, marriage, all these different things in a world where, you know, the institution of marriage may not be as popular as it used to be. Being single may not be as easy as it used to be. So today we're going to talk to a group of women that are in tune with themselves and also trying to navigate the world of relationship, singleness, marriage, divorce, all these different things. And so we want to have a sit-down session about these different situations, these different things. I'm fumbling over my words, but that's okay. That's why it's my podcast. I can do what I want to do, right? All right. So as we get started, I'm going to introduce you guys to my panel of women, intelligent women, beautiful women. And I'm going to start from my right and to your left as you're looking. Diamond Edwards. She's a state board licensed esthetician and owner of Diamond Keys beauty spa for 5 years. She's on a mission to enhance clients' appearance and well-being through therapeutic service rooted in faith-based principles. She's also a motivational speaker. I didn't know that. She's a mentor. She's an advocate for women affected by domestic violence. So we're already getting deep in this thing already. I'm just doing the introduction. Also, she uses her platform to uplift, motivate, and encourage women in need. And outside of work, Diamond is a devoted wife and a loving mother and for an energetic son. Give Diamond a hand. All right. Then we have sitting in the middle, Sister Keishonda. She's the founder of Keishonda's Entrepreneurial Academy, which focuses on uplifting young Black and brown children to become academic and entrepreneurs. Her work is centered in holistic education, addressing both academic achievement and mental well-being. She's emphasized the importance of mental health and building resilience and also overcoming life challenges. And Sister Keishonda's journey of love, mental health, and resilience will be shared on this Mentality Unchained podcast. She's very open, so I love Sister Keishonda because she's just so calm. And her story reflects the commitment to purpose, empowerment, and serving others in the community. Sister Keishonda, welcome.
Thank you.
This young lady, Miss Tina Thomas, she's an advocate for mental health, recognizing that many people face internal issues that are not often reflected in their outer appearance. She continues to educate herself on both beauty trends and mental health issues through classes and workshops. Tina acknowledges that the trust clients place in her goes beyond her hair care and also extends to emotional well-being, as well as she often provides a listening ear for those in need. And then her husband, which is me, yay, that's me. I'm a licensed traumatologist and also psychotherapist, and I offer guidance and support. I can't believe she wrote this about me, but that's okay. That's okay. So welcome, Tina Thomas. I have Miss Allison Oates, who I'm meeting for the very first time. I'm interested to hear your view on things. She's born and raised in Rockford, Illinois. She's returned in 2018 to pursue her graduate studies. She earned an MBA in 2020 and became a homeowner in 2020. That's great for a young lady to be able to be a homeowner. Solidifying her roots here in Rockford, Allison enjoys a fulfilling career in healthcare, which she considers a blessing. Recently, she embraced motherhood, celebrating her first year as parent. Wait, give her a hand for that. Yeah. And she's proud of the life she's built and looks forward to her journey ahead. Thank you for joining us, Allison.
Thank you.
and I shouldn't just even introduce this chick right here, but she's one of my right hands. If I had two, Denez is one. She's the Chief Branding Officer and Communication Manager for State Representative Maurice West. She holds a Bachelor's in Communication and Public Administration and a Master's in Communication. Mercedes is experienced in teaching effective social media engagement strategies for individuals and organizations. She has worked with political candidates and runs social media platforms for businesses and organizations, especially mine. And she has a driven passion for creating positive change. Mercedes excels in communication, branding, and communication engagement. Mercedes, join us, y'all. And without further ado, the Wanda Fricks. She is awesome. So Wanda is married to Pastor Wayne Fricks of Healing and Deliverance Kingdom Center, serving as the First Lady of the church. Together for 6 years, they have been blended family of 7 children and 22 grandchildren. I like that. Growing family. With over 30 years of experience in medical field as a medical assistant, she now runs her own daycare, Kingdom Kids Childcare. Give her a hand for that. For the past 3 years. And passionate about street outreach, she feels called to support broken women and those battling addiction. Wanda enjoys vacationing with her husband and staying active through regular workouts. That's great. Welcome all the ladies, y'all. Thank you. So ladies, as I fumbled through my introduction and as I talked to you guys about some of the things that we're having that's going on, I want to jump into, let's talk about love and partnership. Let's start there. Let's just be honest. What's y'all experience with dating before, if you're married, before you got married, but what was the experience like with dating?
Want to start with me?
However, we just jump in. We having conversation here. Okay. I need y'all to loosen up.
Okay.
We have a conversation here.
So my experience wasn't good.
Okay.
I mean, they're all exes. So I would say definitely because I did not know myself. Mm-hmm. The relationships went too long because I did not know myself. Uh-huh. So being married now, I'm in a more comfortable state. I'm learning myself even more. And yeah. So yeah, before my marriage, it was all trash. Yeah.
Dating was all trash.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, from your perspective, has evolved in the dating scene from probably 10 years ago to now? Anything different you see? And I'll get to some of the single ladies in a minute here.
I would say I've been growing ever since I got into a relationship. So what's been evolving, I would say it's not for the good, especially being a black woman and looking at the race that I am interested in, like the black men. I have not seen nothing good.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I couldn't. Yeah, maybe somebody else can take the wheel with that one.
Mercedes, what's give me the climate of dating nowadays?
Allison, everything.
She like, you did not.
Okay, so I say like dating has been, it's like, you know, when you put your toe in the pool to check the temperature and it's not right, so you like run away.
Yeah.
That's been my experience. I think I've been very intentional with dating just because with my last relationship it was more serious. Okay. So dating for me is like, I have a son. Yeah. I have a business. Yeah. Like I have things, so I can't just date anybody. So I have to audit you before I date you.
Gotcha.
And yeah, dating has just been, I don't know. I went and then I was like, I went out and I came back. Yeah. And it's been like a revolving door. Like, maybe I'll just sit back down. Yeah. So I've been seated.
Seated. Okay. So Allison, what's the? She said she just dipping her toe. Like, What's your perspective on it?
Okay, y'all hear me out. I think dating is like a science experiment, okay?
Oh.
Yeah. So now, like Diamond was saying, I feel like I'm a better scientist and like picking and choosing what experiment I'm gonna get into.
Okay.
Because everybody is different.
Yeah.
Like people are so different. You know, everybody has their own background, you know, their own different goals that they want to be in the future.
Yeah.
But a lot of people I found like dating in the past, they don't really have the people to push them. So they just look at, for my situation, they would look at me and be like, oh, she's got it going on, I'm finna just go with her. But they didn't have their things together. So we both can't grow together if you not got all your boxes checked and you know I'm checking more boxes. So I think dating is more of a science experiment, and I say that because, you know, imagine you going to the science fair and you got your experiment with you and you're showing all your friends and you be like, look at my science experiment. So you want your friends to be like, that's a cool science experiment. We'll be like,
They be like, go back.
You don't stepped in some, Allison. But I appreciate it. Since Keishonda, as you hear her speak about the science project, what's going on through your head when you hear that?
It's interesting because I don't really, I didn't have a traditional dating experience in my lifetime.
Yeah.
So I had a serious boyfriend from the time I was 16 until I was 21. And then between 16 to 20. And then I got married when I was 22.
Okay.
So there wasn't very much room for dating in between there. And I didn't date. I didn't have a boyfriend between 20 and 22. So I didn't have a traditional dating experience. I mean, I had guys that I hung out with, that I went to the movies with, but nothing even close to what they're describing. So it's interesting because I can't even relate to that. But for me, I'm thinking about my daughters and them having to move into this world of dating and looking for a mate. And so I'm just, it's kind of neat to hear their experience because I can relate with my children in some shape, way, or form as to what they may or may not go through. I have no idea what they're going to experience.
I think that's good how you transition to your daughters because you can't relate.
I can't relate at all.
I find that pretty interesting. Tina, what do you think about what Allison said? The experience, and then also what Keishonda said. Well, I'm more worried about or thinking about my daughters.
I'm definitely thinking about the girls, especially with them, two of them having children. I'm like, when you're dating now, you're dating for the kids as well.
For sure.
Because when you and I started dating, my daughter went on a date, the first date with us. Probably all of them. Because I was so focused on her. And anybody that came in my life knew like she was number one. So that's what I'm trying to teach them, like put your kids first. And if he's a nice guy, a God-fearing guy, that's going to be your best bet. Because God has to be the center of your relationship. And you want somebody that has to go through God to get to you. And I'm always telling them that, like, it's not going to work. As soon as they say I'm going on a date, I'm like, do he love God? Do he go to church? Is he in God? Because you can go to church and not, you know.
Right.
And I'm like, don't even bring him to the house. For what? It's not gonna work.
Right. Sister Wanda,
can I ask her a question?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Boys. Can I'm wondering your perspective on what we're talking about for your boys.
What can you ask that question again, Keishonda? Because I want you to say that a little bit louder so I can. I won't speak to this one. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. So I wanted to hear her perspective on what we're talking about. In regards to her sons.
Okay.
My son, I tell him the exact same thing. You want a young lady that has to go through God to get to you. Amen. Everything that his dad does for me, I'm like. And I see him doing, I'm like, your wife is going to be happy. Like she going to get a good man. If you stay like this or stay like this and grow, you will be a good young man. Just like with our grandkids, he is so hands-on with those kids. I said, you are going to be a great father. And he is concerned about them, about those grandkids. Like he's calling them every day. And today we were talking to my daughter on FaceTime. I said, I just love him.
Yeah, she did say that too.
I did. And he was over there like, oh.
Yeah, because so even as you ask that question, I also think about how protective you guys can be as parents, and especially with the sons. And I always relate it to women know what young women should have, and men know what young men should have. But what I find most times is women want to make sure that their son are dating someone similar to them, or have similar values, and also don't want them to be in a situation where they're hurt. And I see that often, because and my son and I talk all the time, and we talk about him dating, and he's like, you already know how mama is, and, and those things. And I have to tell him she's only doing this because she's concerned about you. But I do vice versa with my girls too. I always tell them, respect that guy that you're with. Because if he's not disrespecting you, you have no reason to disrespect him. But when there's disrespect, you need to leave. Because if he does it once, he will do it again. And so I think it goes both ways in the teaching aspect when it comes to our kids, and dating as well. So, but I was going to ask you, Wanda, like, as you hear all of this, and we're talking about this, and quite naturally, you and Wayne been married. What do you fear for your granddaughters?
Well, I would have to say, from my perspective, when I was younger, in that time, you have to think I was dating in the late 80s.
Yeah.
So in the early 90s. So it seems as if the world has changed so much now, because what we were looking for back then, they're so purpose and career driven now. Everybody's about their career. Women is in a whole different headspace now. Back then we were looking for a home, a good provider, to be a wife. Now women are out in the forefront more, and so the world is totally different now. But for my grandchildren, what I would look for, what concerns me, because of what this world is becoming now with the order of things, it's supposed to be God, then the husband, then the wife. I try to teach my daughter to go back to the basics. Yes, we know the women need a career. There's nothing wrong with ambition and want to have more, but we were created for a man. My daughter is in a space, and the young girls that I have influence on, they in a place now where they don't want to get married. They don't want children. They're not. They okay with not dating. And that's kind of a concern for me, because we were created for men, and we were made to be fruitful and multiply. And I'm running into so many young women now, like my daughter, she don't want children. She's 28, she don't have any children. And she had such bad experience with dating, and from talking to her, she would say, well, the biggest thing now is, it's you run into so many people with being honest. It's a big problem in the world today. With people, what you see is not what you get. You have to be in this. She explains it to me as if you have to get in it, and once you get in it, it's like a problem. Because no one's up front and just telling you this is where I am. Everybody's a facade. Would you girls agree with that?
Agree.
Yeah.
And so that's the challenge that she tells me that she's having. So, but my advice to her is to, I always take a scripture because that's all I know. You try the spirit by the spirit and see if it be of God. You have to just spend time with them before you go into even to the dating, to go to that next level. Be friends first. That's the way I was brought up. You have to court them. You have to be friends with them. You hang out with them, and you get to know them, and then sooner, after 6 months, a year, you go to school, you go, then you would decide if you want to date them or not. You meet their family. Now, these days, my daughters, you don't meet their parents. Especially with being adults.
As you talk, I think of so many groups of individuals that we have today. We have LGBTQ.
Yes.
We have polyvagus. That means that they got more than one wife, one girlfriend, all this. Do you have bisexuality? All these different things. But you said something, though, is that you said that a woman is created for a man. Do you guys have an opinion on that?
I agree.
You agree.
I do
Okay.
as well.
You agree as well, but you had your hand up. Why did you have your hand up?
When she was talking about the scripture, what I tell the girls, a man who finds a wife, that means you are becoming that wife before he finds you.
Wow.
Not when
That's a good
you
one.
meet, like you're preparing yourself, if that's your desire to be married, you're preparing yourself now before you meet him. And I wish somebody would have said that to me.
That's a good one.
That means, like you said, you taking care of the home. You're you learn. You don't want to learn how to cook on the day. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So in other words, you're
bring it to
saying,
the table.
let's take it from the little tea kitchens and the stuff that y'all do as a kid, and actually start to put that into practice.
Right.
Mercedes and Allison, how y'all feel about that?
I can agree to a certain extent
Okay.
because those skills aren't taught like that anymore. And now it's just like Miss Wanda was saying, you either get a career or
Yeah.
you're going to have to figure it out on
Right,
your own.
right.
And so it's so hard in my perspective to, do the cooking, the cleaning, and now I'm doing the bill paying, the providing for myself and
Right.
type of thing too. So it's a lot to put on one person.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. I wish we all started off like that, but I know for my own background, it was more drilled into education. You need a career, and then you figure out the rest.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So-
And, and that's the way it is these days.
It is.
You know, that's 85% of the young girls that I had talked to. That's their mindset.
Yeah.
That's their mindset.
And when Miss Wanda was talking, sorry to, I'm so
No,
sorry.
hey, this is free flowing. I love
Okay,
it.
great.
Let's jump in wherever you.
When you said a woman is built for a man, I just that was my first time hearing something like that because, like I said, my family was just so on to the whole. You need to take care of yourself. You need to take care of yourself. You can't depend on nobody else but your family.
And that's a generation that
yeah.
we're raising. That's what the way. And you talking, see, that's my way. I think in the way, but that's coming from a scriptural, from a spiritually minded person.
Yeah.
You have to think. Most people, they have took the order of God and the way that we teach our children to a whole nother level now.
Yes.
And so for us,
Yes.
my daughter and your children probably think, "Oh, you're so old-fashioned."
Yeah, they do.
Just now we got to do this. One got to do that. One got to do that. It's all in what you want because what you, like you say, you preparing yourself to be a wife from the beginning.
Yep.
They don't even think like that. Like you say, this young lady said, this is her first time ever hearing that.
And here's my thing is, that when you're explaining becoming a wife, being submissive, it's painted as a bad thing. It is joy, joy in me being with him.
Amen. Amen.
Like I can do whatever I want. I can work when I want. I don't have to work. Like that's the freedom. I don't have to stress out about the bills, and I don't open bills. I don't go to the mailbox.
And I just want to piggyback off of what you're saying. For the guys in our generation, they want to pick and choose where they want to provide.
And so you just said something, and so now, because I do have to be honest and transparent, is because only reason that she can do that is because one, I'm a different type of guy, but secondly is that I know my responsibility, and I do know that a lot of young men don't know their responsibility and are not accepting of it either.
A lot of young men don't know themselves.
Oh.
See, but you know,
wait, Wanda, come on now, let me come on. Now you gotta speak on that. You can't sit there and just say, yeah.
Is it on?
Yeah, you just speak up loud, speak loud. Put some bass in your voice. Okay.
No, like a lot of, not just men, but young women too.
Yeah.
You're going out into situations where you're trying to date and you're putting yourself in a position that you're not realistically ready for.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to date. What is your purpose of dating?
Yeah.
You're trying to get married and you're not ready for it. You don't have your finances ready. You don't have your education ready. You don't have what is going to help create that foundation that way you can build a home and a family.
Yeah.
You don't even have half of it. So when you're going to building, everything is falling and fumbling, and you looking like, why did I get divorced 2 years after I just got married when you didn't properly prepare? So when
and that's the thing. That comes from them not being taught.
Yeah.
And
that goes back to what she was saying. That's because the generation, I can say after the late 90s, it's like we fell off somewhere as parents.
Yes.
Well, I think
where did the disconnect happen?
I was going to say. So I think
thinking about
that's
you
the
as a
reason
parent.
why.
Yeah.
If you as a parent had this mindset that you raised your daughters that way, I'm literally trying to think like, where did this disconnect happen?
The disconnect in the
I was just gonna say that technology.
I want to be a boss.
No, I think time dictates behavior. Because I think back then they didn't have social media.
They didn't.
And so guess what? They didn't have a choice but to sit across the table and have a conversation with you.
and have a family dinner. But if you think about it, this been since the beginning of time. Even when I was growing up, from my mother's generation, it changed.
Yeah.
And it's going to keep evolving. It's going to keep changing.
And so it's going to be hard for us to keep these values then, right?
Right.
like
but you have to think
are
of
we
it.
evolving if we're not keeping these values? Are we actually evolving?
But
if we start off as a family, we came over here as slaves and as families, and now all of a sudden we don't even want to have children and be married. Like, are we actually evolving, or what's the word? Because I don't think evolving is the right word.
Exactly.
And I say that because, but if you read it, it's biblical.
Amen.
In the last days, people will be lovers of themselves and not of God.
Ooh. Amen.
And that's what we're living in because it's just prophecy.
Amen.
We're living in the last days.
Well, I tell you, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And due to that, it's because, like I say, in my mother's generation, you didn't date no boy. You didn't date there was no dating, but in my generation, you did date, you courted. But now in their generation, it's just times and times. And we fell off. You have to say it. Late 90s, 2000, the babies is totally different. Yeah. Even the children are different.
That's true.
They are so advanced. I work in child care. The kids are different. The way you teach them, everything has changed. So we have to change with it. And the only thing that we can really hold on to is the Word of God.
That's what
because that's the only thing that stays the same.
That's what
I think the values in home should always be passed down. Mm-hmm. You choose how you implement it. So I always like to tell people, when they come into my office, is I have a picture that my daughter painted out of anxiety. Mm-hmm. And it's just a bunch of abstract colors. Mm-hmm. And I always tell people, okay, I can give you that painting, but you'll have it from me. And that's something that I like. Yeah. But what happens if you want to have your own painting? You have to go get a clean canvas and paint your own picture. Because if I give you my painting, you're just going to paint over it. But at some point, my views, my values are going to bleed through. So you paint your own picture, you paint your own abstract. So in essence, what I'm saying is we instill the values, but we allow them to be their own selves, their individual selves.
And we do instill the values, but when I say change, I guess I use the wrong word. The way we reach them change.
Okay, right.
The way we reach them change. We don't change because we still teach them the same values, but the way we reach them is different. Because when I was growing up, my mother yelled and said anything she wanted to say to us. And we just respected that.
No, you can't do that now.
Right. So now when my son grew up, he used to tell me, Mama, I don't like it when you holler at me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I would talk to my kids and I would want feedback. I would try to get in their head. I want to see what they're thinking. Right. And with doing that, I would listen to what they say because that taught me how to treat them, how to handle them, what gets to them because their opinion is valid. Yeah. And I want to hear that.
I'm going to say this and then I'm going to let you go because I know you had your hand up. Is as parents and as new parents, is that you have to learn how to listen to your kids.
Amen. Yeah.
You have to observe your kids and see the things that they like, the things that they don't like, because you have to build a communication level with them to where you can understand. You're not going to parent with an iron fist like they used to do.
Right.
They wouldn't talk to you. They'll just be like, they're going to do what they're going to do, and then they don't worry about your feelings. At the end of the day, our kids are in a society now where you have to start training them at home of how to communicate effectively.
Amen. Effectively, that's the thing.
Yeah. So if you do that, you allow them to be able to express themselves, but also find respect as well. Yeah. So all of this works together. The mode of travel is different, but it's the values are still there.
Yeah. They're still
Mercedes, what you was?
I think values and morals are going to be different for our generation than they are for other people's generation. Okay. And the reason why I say that is because, kind of going back to what I was saying, if you're passing down morals to an individual who doesn't know who they are, what does that really mean to them?
Wow.
Like something that my dad always used to tell me ever since I was a kid. He'd be like, don't change you, don't change you. And when I was in college, I was like, okay, why do you keep saying that? Like, don't change you. But as I became an adult, especially in becoming a mother, it was like, don't change you. When you have a foundation of who you are, you know how to apply those values. It's kind of like taking somebody's experience and learning from their experience rather than having to go through it yourself. Too many of us have to go through the experience rather than just taking the experience from someone, taking the values, taking the knowledge and applying it to our own.
Yeah, and the next level of that is now knowing how to coexist with someone else that's different than that.
That's the challenge.
Yeah, and so there is a sense of compromise that has to happen.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, you both have grown up in different environments, you have different values.
And grace.
But right, right. But at the end of the day, there has to be a conversation up front.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now that's something that, you know, we just kind of dated back in the day and whoever, but now you have to have that conversation up front about values, outlooks, experiences, all these things, because it's going to shape what that family dynamic looks like.
Oh, yeah.
And if it's a contradictory in there, then there's a big fight. And then you show up, as Dad said, you always stay you. And he like, no, you can't show up like that. And now all is a huge conflict, right?
Yeah.
So now we're talking about evolution, and I want to talk to you guys, and I want to talk to the married ones, and then I'm going to the single ones. What have you guys learned over the years of how love has changed in your marriages and your relationships? How has love changed, your view of love and relationship? How has that changed, or has it changed?
My view has changed in that when I first came into it, it was a very fairy tale type of view. So as my husband liked to say, black men were heavily affected by gangster rap and you know what I'm saying, in the 90s and so on and so forth. And women were affected by R&B just in the on the other spectrum of it. But what has changed is that love now is not like that. It's not. I'm not infatuated with it. It's work and living up to your responsibilities as the man of the household. So I don't want to sound like gold diggerish, but like this thing ain't gonna work if you're not helping to provide, right? You have to bring something to the table.
Amen.
I can't take care of you as the man of the house, right? So if I'm a submissive woman, if you findeth a good thing in a wife, then you have to bring a good thing to the table. So what has evolved for me is that I'm in love with my husband, right? I still love my husband and I like the lovey-dovey stuff of the marriage part. But what's evolved and what's more important for me is that he is providing, he's maintaining, and not just financially, but spiritually, emotionally, mentally. Like he's a husband, and he's following in the footsteps of what, as Muslims, of what Allah is teaching him, and what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is teaching him, and what the minister teaches him. So it's more important to me that he stands upright, as we say in the Nation of Islam, as an FOI, than for me to just be in love with him, if that makes sense. Wow. So what's evolved is, I guess, my view of love is not, it's tangible.
It's not a material thing.
No, it is material. Is
okay,
my point.
It is.
It's not material. It's not like this butterflies in my stomach.
Yeah.
It's taking care of our children. I send him memes all the time. I don't know if you all see them on Facebook, but there's not memes, but reels and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's these reels where it's like things that are so attractive to me as a woman, like things that I find sexy, and then you see him washing the dishes.
Amen.
Or you see him.
Listen at these young.
You see him cleaning up behind himself.
It amazes me.
You see him.
Yeah.
You see him playing with your children.
Yes.
That's like,
it amazes me.
That's attractive.
It amazes me the big age gap, but they still want that.
We do.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying?
I don't know if it's that big of an age gap.
But either way, you still speaking. Well, I ain't gonna go there.
I'm cracking up.
Okay, we're gonna get to them single. But Wanda, what about you? How has it evolved for you?
I would say for me, I agree with what she's saying. It has changed with me being my second marriage and started out having my child at a young age, and because for me, I don't think I had ever been in love when I was younger.
Wow.
Now that I've grown up and years later and get to really know what real love is, I look back now, I don't think I was ever in love when I was younger. Wow. I was the type of young lady growing up in a single parent household with just a mom and had to get out early. I've been on my own since I was 16. Mm-hmm. At 16, I had my own home, my own apartment. Never went back home. Wow. Got pregnant at 15, had my son at 16, and never turned back. You know, I made my bed and I felt like I made it and I laid in it and I done what I had to do. You know, so and when I was younger, what I was doing, the people my age wasn't even doing. It was more or less. I wasn't gonna be with a young man that didn't have nothing or couldn't help me, because I had a child to think about. Gotcha. I couldn't go back home.
Gotcha.
You know, so I had to make it happen. So I worked and went to school. I still went to college. You know, I graduated. I did what I had to do. So I wouldn't dare look at the things that the people that was my age, 17 and 18, they was going to high school, dating and doing things. I had to be grown. Yeah. You know. Yeah. And I made that bed. I laid in it, but I don't. When I look back now, my first real relationship wasn't until I was like 24, 25. Wow. You know, that I would even call a relationship. And back then it was more or less, it wasn't that fairy tale, like what you said. It wasn't even about feeling, it wasn't about intimacy, because even when I was young, I had the mentality survival. Yeah. You know, it was more survival for me. So, and for now, it's more by coming into Christ at 29 and learning the Word of God. It changed my whole life. Okay. You know, it went to more to, you know, you don't, because when I was growing up, I would tell a young man anything. I'd tell him what he wanted to hear. Yeah. I was that person. I just, my way of thinking was just different, I would say. So as I got older and when I came into God and got to really knowing what real love is, it's like it changed overnight, you know, because I wanted the real love, but not only did I want to receive the real love, I want to give the real love. Yeah. And my life had always been so serious till I skipped the fairy tale. You know, I didn't even want the fairy tale. I wanted something real, you know, and that comes with, if you don't respect me, you don't love me. If you lie to me, you don't love me. You could say anything. A man could tell me anything, could say anything because I was that person at one time. You can't come to game with me. Been there, done that. You know what I'm saying? So you can tell me, love is an action. Yes, it is. And if you didn't show me, if you was a liar, a cheater, that didn't imply love. So, and now as I got older, I come to really realize reason why it was so easy for me to be like, okay, you don't love me, okay, bye. Because I never really even loved them. You know. Amen. But now what I look at when it comes to love, I think about being over 50, I'm thinking about growing old. You know, there's gonna come a day, you know, I'm thinking about our health, you know, taking care of one another. You know, we got to think about pouring into our grandchildren and having that marriage, showing them what love look like, because they can't look at the world because there's no love in the world. That's so awesome. And if they don't see that through me and my husband, they won't see it. Amen. I like that. I don't want to leave it to chance that they may, you know, have a mentor or somebody to see what love is. And love, you can say and you can act. I see a lot of marriages, Facebook marriages or marriages, but every marriage has its challenges, don't get me wrong. But you can literally tell when some people ride or die or they in love through thick and thin, no matter what. You can see it. You can see it. And because love bears all things and it's gonna stand. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have challenges, and that's what I try to install in my daughter now and really beat into them. If you know how to love yourself, would you want to be married to you?
Ooh, that's deep. That's deep, Ms. Wanda. What do you? Y'all blowing my mind, Ms. Tina. What you think?
I was researching this name because when him and I went through our challenges, we would watch these CDs back in the day. His name was Jimmy Evans, and it blew my mind when he said, in marriage, you fall in and out of love with each other. The problem is when people fall out, they leave. But the marriage actually is working when you're trying to work through when you're out of love.
Don't keep that thought. I don't want to interject, but I want to say it because I'll be then forget it.
Okay. That's
when you say fall in and out of love, I think love never fails, and you never fall out of love, because I think once you really, really love somebody, you'll always love them. You may not be in love with them, but you'll always love them.
Yeah, you love them. What he explained, and you can go back and research it. What he explained was like the agape love. Like there's different types of love.
Levels
like
of love.
You love, but then it's like you falling in and out because you're constantly growing. Then sometimes you gotta wait for that person to catch up.
Yeah, transition.
And so when he was saying all of that, I had this picture in my head, like if both people get in the ditch at the same time, your marriage is over. You always got to have somebody outside out that ditch to pull the other one out.
And you know, it's funny you should say that.
And meaning that somebody got to always be talking to God. Because if both people stop talking to God, it's over.
See, and
What, Miss Wanda? Come on, Miss Wanda. Diamond, what you got to say? Because you ain't gonna sit here quiet on me. You ain't gonna sit here and let these married folk talk and you ain't say nothing.
Diamond, oh my goodness.
What do you got to say?
No, man, no, because y'all like my residents right now, and what they talking about. Okay. And I can't say much but sit back and listen. I need to be slow to, what is it? Slow to speak and quick to listen. At this point, and this is like for a whole nother session, but me and my husband, we're where you was just talking about, the falling in and out of love, right? Yeah. And it's like, like the way that y'all hitting it on the head, it's just speaking to me. I can't really say much. This is the third year of us being married, and we are both evolving at different pace. To where, like you just said, if both of y'all get in that ditch, it's over with. Yep. Right? Yep. So, just, being transparent, because, whatever. Anything I said once, I can say it again. But earlier today, I was more of the one, remember when your husband was talking about stonewalling and all of that?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So, at first, my husband was doing that to me, and he didn't realize he was doing it. Okay. Now the roles is changing to where I'm in that place to where it's like I'm walking right past my husband. Oh, he's getting on my the last nerve. Yeah. So right now, with what they saying, it's just it's allowing me to learn.
So as you learning, where are you right now?
What you mean?
Where are you in your husband right now? We don't want to go into details, but where are you at right now when you're in and out of the ditch? Are you in the ditch now?
No, we basically talked about it and reconciled things, but I just feel like when things are happening so rapidly, that I'm still talking to Christ, and I believe that he's still talking to Christ. But it's just still things that's happened too rapid. To where it's like, okay, I gotta take things a second at a time. I am younger than my husband. So it's like me, I'm more reactive. Get it right or I'm moving around. Like I'm that type of person. Wow. So when you was talking about the agape love, I have to question myself, like, okay, I want that agape love, right? That's what I strive for. But I do understand in marriage there's a compromise type thing. Yeah. And if there's not a compromise type thing, you getting on my last nerve at this point. So yeah.
But you know what? And it's just where y'all being like that in and out, that's normal. People don't want to say it, but that's real. So don't run from it. Don't be ashamed of it. Like you said, the stonewall. We're still learning how to do that. Now we way better because we got married 21, 22 years old. Right. I can go 2 months without talking.
And that breaks me apart. I can't go that long.
I was like
2 months.
2 months.
That's a long time.
Look how I'm looking
at you. That is not now. That is not now.
I did.
Wow.
I was shut down. Like
that's
down.
A long time.
Single people. How does that shape your? How How does this shape y'all worldview about relationship as you hear these married women talking in these terms? What are y'all thinking?
Diamond hit it on the nail when she said it's all about reacting.
Okay.
You know, you meet somebody and then everything is gravy, everything is smooth sailing. Then a conflict happens. You don't know how that person's going to react, and the reaction is not what you thought. And then it's just like, this how you are when you mad? And I'm gonna cut out. Yeah. So I think it's all about how you react to the person, because it's just like how you said earlier. It's about giving somebody grace, because when you want to be honest, you want to, be able to talk about the conflict. You don't want to just feel like you have to walk around eggshells talking to that person, or you feel like belittled, or you feel like I can't speak to them because they finna blow their lid. So it's all about what Diamond was saying about the reaction. So that's what
what, Allison? When couples come into my office, my mindset is to make both of them as mad as they can get.
Ooh. I know. He ain't lying.
So the real.
But you know why I do that though? It's because if I can have them to show out in front of me, I can help them through that. Because if you show out at home, I ain't there to help you.
This is true.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So I want you to act your worst so I can see actually how you work. And if I can do that, then guess what? We can work. Because now I can tell you the things that you've done wrong, how you've approached it, what you've said, what you should have said, what you didn't say.
We done had some sessions in our last relationship.
But it's back to what it was being said on this couch is like you have to grow, because I too used to be a bag reactor, and I used to just shut down, don't talk to me no more. But now that I'm older, I do believe in giving people grace, and if you do love somebody, you'll work at it. People make mistakes. So
did you want to comment on that?
So disclaimer, I have been on Kevin's couch. So
you didn't have to say that.
We being transparent, honest.
I was clearing my throat.
He has seen all of me. No, but when he talks about doing the work and growing, that's real experiences. I think I come from a background where my dad and my ex-stepmom, they were together for over 24 years. My grandparents were together for over 50 years.
Wow.
I watched the whole through thick and thin, through, being sick. I watched my grandfather care for my grandmother until her last breath. And then how him living without her was just him surviving, because they had been together for so long. And I think in my mind, it's a dual-ended sword for me. Because on one end, I don't want to say I'm independent, because I'm not gonna put that in there. But I know how to provide. I'm a daddy's girl. So it's a lot of things. He raised 4 of us. Him and my ex-stepmom, there was 4 girls. So they raised us to be wives. But they also raised us to know what you need to do for you to prosper, excel, and be successful in life. So it's weird, because I have both perspectives. I've had the relationship where we're working towards marriage. We've had a child. This is what we're doing. I've been that person who would pop off and didn't listen. I've been that person who, I'm not gonna say wouldn't talk, because I over communicate, but I've also had to learn, sometimes Mercedes, you just gotta shut up. Sometimes you gotta shut up and give somebody some space. Because even though you wanna communicate, and I communicate, I will tell you exactly what's wrong with me, the time it happened, why it happened, how to prevent it, all of that. But what I've learned is, for someone who isn't a communicator, or who's someone who is more introverted, that's a lot. So I've had to learn how to tone it down and adapt in relationships and adapt with people. That's because how you go in, and when I say the foundations of me, I'm not going to change my non-negotiables. There are certain things in relationships where
we're not talking about
I'm not changing that. But there are other things that have to be compromised. When you go into a new relationship, you take the foundation of who you are, but you have to realize that you're building a new foundation with somebody else. So some pieces of you are gonna have to leave. And that's when we're talking about being on your couch. Y'all, Kevin told me so much stuff where I really had to just shut up and listen. I was like, okay, but it was learning. It's growth. So
can I ask a question?
Yes.
I guess it's for the whole group. But if I had to go back to dating today, at 40 years old.
At 40 years old,
I don't think that I would want to go at it alone. I think that I would lean on, I don't know necessarily about my mom, but I would lean on either other women and men that are my age.
Yeah.
That's why
And
I
like
said the
ask
same.
them to set me up essentially.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm just wanting to ask, like, what do we think about? We can't. In America, Black people in America, I don't think we could ever do it. But should we maybe consider betrothing our children and getting to that?
That's a good question.
Because the thing I think about, for me, I would love to be able to do that for my daughters.
But
being honest.
but you know the conflict with. Well, go ahead.
I know the conflict of it, but I would love to be able to do that because one, I know I want what's best for them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to see me and their father, not just me by myself, but me and their father, and whoever this other young man's parents are as well, and his aunties and his grandparents and my children's grandparents.
And see,
like
I'm so glad you brought that up.
All of us make an informed and decision. Not to say that they are forced into it, but we make a decision for our children that we know that's what's best for them. So I know that no man is going to be absolutely perfect throughout the marriage. But at least if we can bring our families together, there's an understanding of it going into this relationship. So when they do fall out, they not trying to, they both can be in a ditch because they have mom and dad on both sides and grandparents on both sides and aunties on both sides who want this marriage to work. Right? You as a parent, you know if he a knucklehead, and you know if she a knucklehead.
Some people don't want to admit it though.
No, I'm talking about you as a parent looking at the other child. You know if that knucklehead over there is a knucklehead.
They don't be wrong.
Especially for men. One of the most profound things a brother said to me is that when he was in college, he said he was running through girls. Wow. But the ones whose father he had to meet, he couldn't play with them. He couldn't play with them. And the ones who, like you said earlier, you could tell a brother anything. The ones whose mom you have to meet, she not gonna let you run game on her son. That's right.
That's what I'm saying.
She not gonna let you run game on her son. So maybe it's just, so we don't necessarily have to get back to betrothing our children.
Yeah.
But everybody should be involved in this process.
But I think
we shouldn't be doing this thing alone.
This is what they've gotten away from.
But this is the problem, though. This is the crux of it all. Is that even if we had a semblance of betrothing, right? At the end of the day, most young person don't want to be told what to do. And that's the really crux of it. Because here's the thing: as much as we train our kids up the right way, they still want to feel like they know what they're doing. And they still know how they want to feel like they know how to do it. True. And so it comes off as a form of control, just what Wanda's saying, to them. And like, they don't want to be told what to do, who to marry, and all these things. They don't see it. So it's a post-revelation. And the post-revelation is, I have to go through it first and then realize what mom and dad was talking about.
But I mean, even if you can make your own decision, let me at least set you up. Like, why?
That ain't going. I'm with you, but that ain't happening though. That ain't happening.
Think about it as a single person.
I see what she's saying.
Think about it as a single person.
But look, here's the thing. I don't disagree.
You'd rather have 3 or 4 of your girlfriends who are also single, who going through the same drama you going through, who going through the same headache you been going through, to set you up, versus somebody who is completely objective to this thing. Like,
I'm 100% got you. I got your back on that.
Well, you have to think.
I got your back on that.
You at your age.
That's what I'm saying. Let me be
at 40.
Let me be fair, because
the women and men around me have to check my man. I can't just
let me be fair, because all of us are over 40 and we've been down the road a little bit. But I want to hear what you got to say about this.
So the concept, I like what she's saying.
Okay.
And the reason why, so in my last relationship, me and my parents had discussions about everything, things that have happened where we are now. Okay. And there were things that they were able to tell me that I was going to go through and things that were going to happen based on the person that I was with. Gotcha. They were also able to tell me certain things about myself on how ways.
They know you.
Yeah,
they know that child.
Listen, my parents know me. They know me. But they were able to tell me things about myself on how to not sabotage my relationship and not ruin my relationship. And there were some things that I listened to, and there were some things that I didn't listen to. You know, I tell my parents that I'm like, I probably have like a 82% listening rate now. It used to be higher, but then I went through that stage where I thought that I knew it all. But they were telling me certain things because they were older and they were wiser, and they were like, okay, well, next time this is what you look for. If you're in this situation right now, this is how you handle it. And most of the time I listened, but there were times where I didn't. But that requires, at least on my end, that requires a certain amount of maturity, and it requires you to step out of your emotions to be able to understand that the people around you have your best interests, and they may see something around you that you may not. Because I have a boatload of mentors that I'm calling, vetting people whenever I'm dating, going through. Like, we searching everything. I need to know. I need to know. But because they may be able to see things that I can't see.
Oh, for sure.
What's interesting too is that they also know the people who raised my man.
Exactly.
So look, like imagine if you imagine if you was a father.
Keishonda, I don't disagree. Look, you selling me. I'm sold.
He just said he's not working this day and age.
I'm sold.
I think parts of it
I'm trying to find good mates for my girls right now. I at least want to notice this.
I do too. So look, we're going to get to a break. Because if I don't, Sister Keishonda, look, I want to get to a break, but I want y'all to think about, as we go into break, when we come back, we're going to start talking a little bit about some mental health, and we're going to how it incorporates into our relationships. Also, I want y'all to think about how do you keep emotional intimacy in your relationships? So we were talking about off air about knowing, you know who's the one or could potentially be the one. Yeah. How do you know?
Your intuition.
And your core.
Your
you
core?
Know.
Yeah, you know.
Okay.
Just like when him and I connected, like I knew, but my heart said yes, but my mouth was like, this is just gonna be a situationship, you know, type thing. But in here, I knew. So I believe every woman knows.
You do.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to disagree because
You don't know?
I knew.
You don't
know?
Have you been blindsided?
I think you don't be wrong. Like, I'm gonna live my best life.
Like if you go back and really look at your relationships, you know.
Yeah. You knew it wasn't it. You knew you was there in love at that time, and then it wasn't it after time.
No, you know on the inside,
just know
like
what.
Like even if you feeling like a little insecure, or you know, like you know.
Well, I think that you know when it ain't.
There is no one.
You know when it ain't.
Know when it ain't.
Put it that way.
You know when it ain't.
But and most of the time you know when it ain't. But the thing is, you don't know when it is.
And that's what I'm saying. It's hard
So if
to
you
know
when it ain't. So if you're dating,
that's easier to identify.
So if you're dating a guy and you don't get those vibes that it ain't. These are your words.
Okay.
I know that it ain't.
I'm looking at you.
I know that it ain't. So what else could it be?
No,
you know if it's not.
You know.
Okay, so if you know that it's not, but you're not getting these vibes from this guy.
that's what I'm saying. If you don't get those vibes, and then like Miss Wanda was saying, it's a facade.
Then you
in the
move
beginning.
forward, right?
Then we're moving forward.
Okay.
And then we're so moving forward. Then
Slowly.
There you go.
That's it.
But, and then what?
We'll go back into the whole conflict thing, and then I feel like when there's conflict, that's when I know, like, this ain't it.
So here's my recommendations on that. So if you're dating out there, listen up. If you're dating and you know that this person has the potential to be what you think he should be.
Yikes.
If you guys
I'm sorry.
If you guys are at a place where you say, okay, we're thinking about moving forward, my recommendations is that you bring someone in. When I say bring someone in, bring someone that you trust into this relationship. Allow them to help guide you through this process, because there will be some things that's going to happen that you may not be used to.
Right.
Because what we tend to do is the person you meet and the person 10 years from now is not the same person.
Right. Amen.
And so because that person is not the same person, over that time, he or she has transformed into this person or who they really are. Because I can put on a show and wine and dine you and do all these things, and then the real me show up 2 years from now, and you don't know what to do with.
Exactly.
Like, buddy, who are you? Like, where you come from? So when you really start to feel that this thing is going in a way of we're going to be together for a little bit, right?
Right.
I suggest bringing someone in that you trust, that you know that's not going to lead you astray, and can help both you guys navigate the next step in your life. Because each level is going to get more difficult until you guys both mature.
Right.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember when him and I went to counseling, and I was the stubborn one. What he said to us was, in your marriage, you need to have somebody in your business. You know how they say, keep everybody? No, you have to have somebody in your business that you trust. And you need a tune-up every so often.
Yeah.
No matter how long you've been married.
Yeah.
Because he's like, especially when it comes to like buying a house, buying a car. Now that we have adulting children, like grandchildren, like you're going to need a tune-up at some point. He also suggested like go away at least once a month, overnight somewhere.
Yeah.
If you have a hard problem that you need to bring to the table, go to the restaurant and talk about it, so you won't be yelling and cussing each other out.
Yeah.
You know, like those were some tools that they gave us a while back. That's why we are where we are now, because we weren't able to do this.
Right.
And but at the same time, I'm glad my kids saw us at our worst, and they saw us bring it back together. They saw that. They saw all of it, and they need to see it so they can learn how to navigate through their relationships.
Yeah, that's how it works. Experience is the key. Like, you know that going through this can be difficult. You need some sound counsel in your life, because you will leave your mind subject to any dark whatever forces out there if you're not careful. Any little thing will make you mad and upset and say this is not the person. We find ourselves leaving the 80 for the 20. Oh, he got this. But that 20% you can't stand. It's enough. You'll leave. Next thing you know, you got a man with 20, and he missing all the 80.
You know, Dr. Kevin, what I think a lot of it too, where like we were talking about, is you have to really get to know me. I think a good way is get to look at their worldviews, and then do some go back in their bloodline, in their history, where they come from, what they think, how do they think, and I think go a little bit deeper than what people do on a daily basis as far as when it comes to dating. You need to ask those questions that you would ask if you were married. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think when you're dating, you only go so far, but you need to really, really dig and get to know, okay, what do you think about homosexuality? What do you think about this? What do you think about, as far as like your finances? What's important to you? You know, where do you want to be 10 years from now? You know what I'm saying? Or how would you handle certain situations? Because a lot of relationships, I come to find out in this day when you're dating, and you know, they talk about all the fuzzy, fun stuff. But you still talk about the hard things it is to talk about. You know, because if you meet someone and they don't want to talk about homosexuality or anything spiritual, or they believe in so many different religions, or you can get to heaven a certain way, they have to align with your worldviews and what you guys, because you have to think y'all gonna have children together. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to have a child by somebody, then y'all clashing, and they got a certain way that they brought up their children, and you have a certain way you want to bring up your, I think that they just need to have more in-depth conversations.
I like that.
Than what they have in ethics.
I like that. So, in turn of what we were, as we continue to talk about this, how do you guys look or maintain emotional intimacy in your relationships, marriages, relationships? How do you guys maintain that?
Just trying to get to know the person on a deeper level, to be honest. You know, ask them, what do you like to do that relaxes you? Or what do you like to do on your day off? What do you like to do for fun? If you could spend a day with me, what would you want to do, type of thing. Let's do something so I can see how you interact with that something. Okay.
Anybody else?
I agree with what she's saying. Definitely communication. Yeah, just going deeper.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of conversations are you looking to have, Diamond? Going deeper, and when you go deeper, what kind of conversation are you trying to have?
Agreeing with Allison saying, just because like my husband, his interest has changed. Like when I first met him, he liked to go to the club, right? So now it's changed. We both actually put that away because it don't amuse us no more, right?
Gotcha.
Even like down to the clothes and stuff like that, you know. So it's like just getting to know little things like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Oh, you got something before I go?
Yeah, I think for me it's like at this point of where I'm at, like having conversations, like, and I hate to say it like this, but I don't care about your favorite color. I just don't. I don't care about what your favorite color is. I mean, that's important later down the line.
What do you care about?
I care about what, and maybe this is because I've been around you and Daenerys and stuff. You know, I don't know. I want to know what I want to know what your trauma is.
Yeah.
Like I want to know how your parents were. I want to know how you grew up. I want to know why. Like in my last relationship, the person I was with, he was really nonchalant. But it was a situation where we had to address certain things because being a black man, you really don't get to share your emotions.
Girl, you about to make me cry.
No, but but these are things that I saw in him that I saw in my father. Yeah. You don't get the space to take care of you because you're taking care of everybody else. So how are you decompressing? How can I make things easier for you? That's what I want to know because...
And you know what, Mercedes, you just said it. I think, and you guys, I just listen for a second. Is that if you really, really want to grow closer to a man, is exactly what she says. I want you to ask me about me.
Yeah.
I want you to be interested in my struggles.
But we have to listen too.
Yeah,
that's the part I had to learn.
But here's, I'm gonna tell you what happens is that these are the things that we want. We want you to ask us about our traumas. We want you to be interested in us, know where we come from, what we're thinking, how we're feeling, because we're so busy doing it for you that we don't get it in return. Give me a hug, do these things, you know, do you need a massage, all these things. But here's what happens, is the minute that we allow you guys in, you guys emasculate us. You make us feel like we're weak and incompetent.
Can't do that.
And inadequate. Well, and that's where we clam up and we hold it in, and now I don't even want to talk to you. Not only do I don't want to talk to you, I don't trust you with my emotions.
Wow.
And so if I don't trust you with my emotions, our relationship, you're going to be over there and I'm going to be here. It may look like we're together, but we're not together.
Disconnected.
And you know what, Doctor, you are exactly right. And I know that because of my first marriage. That's one of the mistakes that I did in my first marriage. But I
Speak up so they can hear you,
I
girl.
said that's one of the things I did in my first marriage. And that's one of the things that I think I've mastered when it comes to my husband now. Yeah. Because that's what gets me now, just a hold of a hand. My husband can come in and I know when he's off.
Yeah.
You know, I know by me being a person that talks a lot, I know when to be quiet. I know when to listen to him and let him vent. By my husband not being so verbal, when he's going through, he needs to absorb what happened, you know, rationalize it or do what he needs to do. And then he'll talk about it. Me, I used to want to talk. Go ahead and talk. But now I done got to a place now I look at him and I study him and I learn him and I know how to build him up. And the one thing that I went through in my first marriage, I would never bring that up and use that against him when we're in arguments. I never let him make him feel like he's vulnerable or weak. You know, I would tell my husband, cry, do whatever you got to do for this moment. Just don't stay there too long. And if you want me to come in, I'll shut the door and let you do it by yourself. But there's times now we done got to a place in our marriage now where just him holding me when he cries, it helps him. You know, and I would just have to just let him do that, you know, because I don't think all his life he's never been able to do that. You know, so, and that's really big. And like he said, one thing is before in my first marriage, he would told me some things, and when we got into it, and I thought it back at him, and that's then he shut down and never told me anything else.
Absolutely.
And it was a hindrance. We were married 17 years, and I know when I really needed that the most, when his health was failing him, he didn't even want to tell me. You know, he tried to act like he was better than what he really was because he didn't trust me with anything anymore. So, and I learned from that, you know, and I can see how men, they need that. It's not something that they want.
Yeah.
They do.
They need that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As hard. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, while you was talking, like I had to learn that marriage is like a dance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you constantly like dancing like this. Like I can tell when he comes home, like if he want to talk or you know when to bring. The women have to learn when to say stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
You gotta watch your tone. You know what I'm saying? Like you literally. I tell my friends all the time. There's a difference between a man and being mean, because men have a language. Their voice is heavier than ours. So some of them was taking it like, oh, he's being mean to me. No, he's being you're not used to having a man.
You know, and another thing, men talk with nonverbal cues.
Yeah.
See, we are verbal.
Yeah.
I know I can say for my husband, I know his body language. And he may not say nothing, but it depends on how he's moving.
Yep.
I know when
But the
something's
only
going
way
on with
y'all
him.
can do that is if y'all are paying attention.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. Most women don't pay attention to those things.
Yeah, because we come in the house, we go.
See, and my husband don't talk.
No, I'm saying us.
Oh,
come
yeah.
in
Yeah.
And I could look over there like,
See, I over-observe.
You over-observe?
I over-observe.
Really? How does that work
If you
for
blink the wrong way, what's wrong? Like, it's like, hold on a minute.
me too.
Really?
Your heart rate ain't the same.
Right.
So what's going on? Like,
That's real talk, though.
I'm like that too, but I've learned to just take it to myself, get it to myself. I don't say nothing to him.
Yeah.
that's the part, learning when to speak on it, because I would always like immediately want to address it. And with men, sometimes they just don't want to address it.
Yeah.
It's
Let me
like-
ask y'all something by way of trauma, though. How do y'all avoid trauma bond?
I don't do trauma bond.
What do you mean by that?
What, like, so your trauma, his trauma brings you closer,
You know,
and it causes you guys to bond with the trauma based on the trauma. Like, my trauma is, my wife is attracted to my trauma. If I have a traumatic moment, and my wife, it fuels her. It fuels her trauma. Now she goes into her trauma, and now we're bonding based on our traumas, not over the actual intimacy of one another, but we're bonding based on our traumas. Like her trauma, my trauma. Oh, we good. I love that about you. I love that about you. Or I cannot distinguish between her trauma and who she really is. So I love this part of her is acting just I don't want to say a fool, but just acting out, period. I love that part of her. Diamond looking at me and smiling because why? Go ahead.
It sucks that you always come to me when I'm literally drawing a blank. You know how like when you make a squeaking sound with a dog and they go like this? Like I'm literally like, okay, can you break that down some more? Because like with me and my husband, our traumas, we clash.
But there's also a connection there too, because you don't ever feel that you can break away from it either. Because as much as he's hurting, you're hurting for him. And now your trauma's intertwined with his, and now both of y'all are like together. What?
Okay, so my experience is the opposite.
Okay.
Like I think in my relationship, I saw the trauma and tried to address it. But when you're dealing with a person that's not ready to address that trauma or doesn't address trauma in the way that you address it, it pushes you. Let me be careful really how I say this because we record. Okay. It pushes you away from them, and they can trauma bond with other people. So I think you have to be able to, when I look at trauma and I look at a person, I look at it as like, you have the person, and then like I look at trauma as, I don't want to say accessories, but like what you have on. So like what trauma are you carrying on you today?
Right.
That's a good way.
Are you going to take it off? Are you going to sit it down? But it's kind of like dirty laundry accumulating.
Yeah.
Are you going to clean it? Are we going to do it together? You going to do it by yourself? But if a person it's like the trash. If a person ain't really ready to take the trash out or isn't ready to do the laundry, you can try and do it for them, but it's going to accumulate again.
And then eventually they got to do it.
And here's what happens with that. It's like sitting your garbage out.
Yeah.
Or not sitting your garbage out.
Yeah.
And sitting there, seeing that person or seeing the garbage there and not messing with it, not moving it, not taking it to the garbage, and it's okay. So you both are sitting there and the garbage is there and nobody cleans it up. And then life happens and now you got 4 or 5 bags of garbage and y'all still ain't cleaning it up. And y'all just sitting there and you got a place or a house full of garbage and you think it's okay. Wow. You ever seen hoarders?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's the picture of a great trauma bond right there. Because guess what happens? If you got a significant other and y'all are sitting in a home that got stuff all the way up to the ceilings and nobody thinks it's a problem, that's normal to them.
Jesus.
There's nothing normal about things piling up and not being addressed.
Yeah.
A lot of times we as African American people, we don't address things because we say, okay, no, that's just how they are. That's how he grew up. That's not right.
Yeah, that's not okay.
No, it's not.
When you're trying to build a healthy relationship with a person, you have to make sure that they are open to addressing. This goes back to your homework at the beginning.
There you go.
Knowing the families they come from, knowing the type of person they are, learning them instead of speeding through the relationship. And before you know it, you've gotten to the point, I've been in a relationship for 2 years and he's still stuck on the same stuff. And it ain't moved and you still sitting there with your legs crossed like I'm with my boo.
But sometimes we make those decisions.
We do.
Like
You know,
sometimes, go ahead.
Yeah, I can say that for my husband and I both lost our sons to murder, to homicides. I lost my son a year before he lost his son. My son was murdered in 2009, his 2010, 2 different marriages. And I can say I was a little bit further along than he were, but I can see how what you're saying. The biggest thing that I think when we came together with us, both had been through the same trauma, but everybody deal with trauma different.
Yeah.
His way of, I don't think he ever got a chance to really address his trauma because he was so into helping everybody else get through what happened. The family, you know what I'm saying? And he was always the strong person, the cover, the provider, the keeper. So I don't think when he and I got together, I don't think he ever really dealt with the trauma or got a chance to really let it out or express it because he had to be this person. But I can tell you, I'm the type of person that I can't stay depressed or stressed or in that place. I can't just stay there. Mentally, I cannot stay there because it's just how I am, you know, and I deal with that even with my own trauma because I couldn't just stay in this place. But I think that's just the way God created me because I know there couldn't nobody help me. I do believe in therapists, I believe in counsel, but there comes a time in life when you go through something and it shakes you to the core that nobody can help you but God. And by me getting to that place through my son's death, the Holy Spirit just showed me what to do and I just passed that on. It wasn't us bonding in that, it's just, I'm gonna tell you how the Holy Spirit worked in my life. Now I'm just gonna give it to you. If it works for you, it's just giving him, when you're dealing with somebody with trauma, and everybody deals with trauma different, there's got to be, it's like strategize. You got to come in, well, try this, try that. Because you got to see what works for them. What worked for me did not work for him. Something simply is to yelling in a pillow and just being able to cry work for him. That didn't work for me. I needed to hear a word from the Lord from myself. But before that, I was so used to calling up people, praying for me and praying with me. But that's when God enlarged my territory. Because instead of that, I got into this place when my son died. I didn't want to hear from no pastor, no preacher. I didn't want to hear nothing from nobody. I needed something from God to do something for me because the hurt was so deep and it was so like, I felt like I couldn't breathe. You know what I'm saying? And it hit me, it dropped me so low to, I needed God to intervene.
What sustains a relationship, you guys think? What sustains a relationship?
Communication.
Communication?
Definitely communication.
Okay. Anything else? Communication?
It's straight communication because once you guys get on the same accord, what's going to be the issue?
What if we communicate differently?
Then
I think that they gotta meet each other. Just simply committing to stay in a relationship. I think that just
committing to the relationship.
Commitment.
Okay. What are you about to say?
I think so. Like, I study people. Like, so when it comes to communication, I process communication completely different. Communication, I think people think of it as a word or a one stop, and it's a process. It's how you communicate. It's when you communicate. It's if the message is received, how that person receives messages. Like, there's so much that comes into communication, the timing, where they are mentally. Like, are they listening or are they hearing you? And then what are your intentions and what are their intentions?
Gotcha.
Are their intentions to apply? Because you can be talking to somebody and giving them advice, and they walk out the door and do something completely different. So it's a process of communication. I think of communication like it's a marathon. You're gonna have to take breaks. You're gonna have to keep going. Your pace is gonna be different throughout it. But it's a whole process, and it depends on that person's biases, experiences, your biases, your experiences. It's a lot. So I definitely agree with communication, but there's so much in that where it's almost like the butterfly effect. If it's not done at the right time by the right person in the right place, it'll go left. So.
Wow. What were you going to say, Allison?
I was going to say love and grace. You know, people always say, like, how do you know you love a person? Whatever it takes, that's what it means to me. Like, whatever it takes. If y'all can't get on the same accord, then whatever it takes to get there. You know, and giving that person grace, you know, to be vulnerable, to be honest, and have a safe place. I think that's what sustains a relationship.
Wow. I like that. Go ahead.
So, and this is just going in my mind. When you say love and grace, in some of my experiences, love and grace sometimes look like stepping away. And sustaining a relationship sometimes can mean ending it to preserve it.
Wow.
And I don't know.
I like that. I like that. Anybody would like to speak to that?
I guess when you and I went through our thing, like, I remember a preacher saying at the Lord's Supper, the Lord broke the bread and then he blessed it. So I feel like sometimes you have to break you apart, work on each person, and then bring you back together, however that looks. And that always stuck in my mind, just because it breaks apart at some point. Sometimes God will bring it back together. And people, they're afraid of that. I'm like, if you separate and it don't come back together, then it wasn't meant to be. Somebody wasn't ready, you know. And don't block that from who God is maybe prepared you for somebody else.
Sister Keishonda said something earlier, and I think we kind of missed it. Is that at some point we have to realize that somebody's growing a little bit faster than the other. And when you're trying to communicate, you also have to understand where you are and where they are in this process. Because if you've grown in the last couple of years and I really haven't put the effort to grow, yeah, I'm different. Circumstances dictate that I'm different, but I haven't truly grown. But you've grown. It's almost like you're talking to a child again. You've grown up and become an adult, and now you're talking to a child because they refuse to grow.
You know,
that's the one.
That's what I was going to say.
What happens is that there has to be some type of understanding of we're in this to grow together. This is longevity. We're looking for a long-term relationship, so it requires us to grow. The way we grow, which way we grow, is on us. But the more time we spend with each other and more, I am a Christian. The more time I spend in my Christianity and my belief in my spirituality, I expect you to be in yours as well. If I'm a Muslim, I feel like we should be able to grow in those areas. But if we're not doing that, then somebody's getting left behind. And when a person is up here and the other one is here, it don't work. So it has to be a simultaneous grow together to where you guys can. Because if I've grown, now I'm not speaking to the same person that I met.
That's right.
And if I'm not speaking to the same person I met, that means you haven't put the effort to create what I'm trying to create and what we both agreed to create.
But if
Go
we're
ahead.
committed
Go
to,
ahead.
and I'm speaking from a marriage
Yeah.
standpoint,
Yeah.
but if we're committed to sustain the relationship,
Yeah.
then you do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Right.
You
So
do.
I think that
That's when the grace
ultimately-
come in.
And you, yeah, I think exactly. So I think that ultimately making the commitment to do something and sticking with it is how you sustain a relationship. There's going to be bumps and bruises and ups and downs.
Yeah.
So
So how do we teach our young people that are getting married or getting into relationships that it's not going to be easy?
I think the first thing you do is establish relationship goals. What's your goal? You know, you just dating for fun. You
Yeah.
just dating to try something new. You dating for longevity.
Yeah.
What you dating for?
Gotcha.
you challenge them as individuals so that they understand what it takes as a human being to be committed to something and to go through something and to see the other side of it. Because you can never prepare for marriage. You don't know don't know what's going to happen in marriage until you get into the marriage.
Right.
But you can go through things as a young woman and be committed to something as simple as staying in school. Not to say that if somebody dropped out that they're a bad person, but it's going to be hard. You got to get up in the morning. You got to be able to catch the bus and be on time. Sometimes this teacher's going to get on your nerves, but you can't just quit. Right.
Yeah.
So you teach your children along the way how to stay committed and work through problems in life with themselves, and then they carry that into marriage.
So I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. I grew up without a father, and I've grown up with a single mother, aunties, grandmothers, no male figure in my life, and now you are expecting me to commit to something that I've never had to commit to anything in my life. And so now you're requiring these things of me, and I don't even know what that looks like. But then if I ask you to show me, you emasculate me. It's like, why don't you know these things? Why can't you?
I wouldn't suggest that.
I know you wouldn't suggest it, but this is what I'm saying though, because then we get young women that don't know what to do with that. Vice versa, young men that don't know what to do with that broken young lady the same way. So
I think that's where the grace comes in. You know, if you really love that person, let me show you the way. So, you know, let me show you my expectations. Let me show you what I'm not going to go for. Let me show you where, you know, we can talk about it, and, you know, where you need guidance. Let me, you know, find some resources.
Allison, I'm not going to do what you just want me to do. I got feelings too, and I know what I want to do. See,
that comes to my question.
Because that's what I'm saying, because I'm going to push back, because I hear you, but look, I want something too. What you was about to say, because you just like, what?
So I was in a situation like that, but like I'm like, I was, but like I'm like, so it's like a chessboard, and I like to like move pieces without pieces being known that they being moved. And then like you run into that piece and you didn't know, but I really kind of like So like I'm the type of person where like I'm going to unintentionally set something up where you might meet a person that you connect with, or you might, you know, do something. Because this is the thing. This is what I learned. Men don't want to listen to women.
Nobody.
And they don't want to listen to nobody. Like, y'all get into these situations where I don't want to hear what you say. You not my mama. This and this. So it's like, okay, let me, you're right, I'm not your mama. But let me sit back and play that role as a woman, and let me move some pieces around. That way you think that you accidentally met somebody.
You telling him the secret.
I'm sorry.
Look, I'm surprised y'all married women sitting here letting me say this.
I was gonna say something, but I'm trying to wait till my
You
turn.
gonna wait till she done? Please,
But this is the thing. And I'm young. I'm still learning. I'm still learning. But I have learned to, in my process of sometimes learning to shut up, sometimes I gotta make some things shake without you knowing.
Mercedes,
You just told
been there, done that. That's
Okay,
what I
come
said. I
on,
could tell
Wanda.
them whatever I wanted to.
Come on, Wanda.
But I was what you guys was saying was what he was saying. What's to sustain a relationship, I think, is the willingness to grow.
Yes.
Everybody have to be willing to grow, to learn, to continue to grow, and to continue to learn. Because like he was just saying, I'm not going to do this. I don't want to do that. If you're not willing to change and you're not willing to grow and put in the work, your marriage is not going to, you're not going to sustain any relationship. So I think that to sustain a relationship, everybody have to be committed and willing to grow and willing to learn.
Yes, you can.
Can I ask you a question? Okay, so this is for the married woman, because like I'm trying to be married, I'm not trying to be single forever. So single is like, all right, but whatever. Like I want to be making breakfast and anyways. So with willingness to grow, with all of you who are married, and you were talking about like if you're here and they're here, what does that willingness look like? Like when you can see that someone has a willingness to grow, but they may not have tapped into that willingness, or they don't know how. What does that look like outside of trying to figure out how to strategize? Like what does that look like? Does that look like patience? Does that look like coming back, or does that look like pulling up? What does that look like in action?
I think what it looks like to me, what willing to grow, is first of all willing to listen. Willing to listen to what your mate is telling you. And it's a difference between you saying, but listen and hearing and listen to respond. When someone is really willing to grow, you're going to see change. You're going to see them apply what you talked about. Even if you don't see them apply it today, you will see it. You know, and because willingness to grow in action brings upon change. And you're going to see them. You're going to see them change. You're going to see the things that you guys discuss. You're going to be like, oh, he's doing that now. I see him actively working towards change. And that's going to constantly change over years, because y'all both going to change. 20 years from now, it's going to be a different change. And if they're not willing to continue to change, willing to take corrective criticism, willing to humble themselves, especially, and that's the hard thing for men to do sometimes, is like you say, they don't want to listen. But, you know, it's not, I don't think it's not what you say, it's how you say it, when you say it. Everything got to be on point when it comes to that. Everything has to be on point, and that's just with us as women, as you want to be a woman that want to be married. I understand what you're saying about moving those pieces, because I've been there, done that. Make him feel like he's doing this, but he's really done it already. But, and that works to a certain extent. Until he gets to a certain place, because they're not stupid. You know, they're gonna see that. But when you see a person,
you got low on when you say they ain't stupid.
No, they ain't stupid.
You need to speak up when you say they ain't stupid. Put some basements behind. They ain't stupid.
They ain't stupid and they ain't slow. I know, but that works on younger men. You know, but when a man they know what you're doing, and then that will make them think you playing mind games. You know, but when you see a person willing to learn and continue to grow, and the willingness to take, you know, what you told him, you'll see change. You'll see change. And then he'll be willing to even tell you, baby, you was right.
What you guys says, Keishonda?
I'm actually kind of confused about the growth thing myself. So I'm just like, I'm confused because I'm not understanding how everybody is defining growth.
What are you thinking?
For me, I think that the person that you are coming into the marriage, yes, we change, but we really don't change that much. Like, we are who we are. So, like, I guess I'm wondering, like, are we saying growth as in like career and what we want to do with ourselves? And if that's what we're saying, I don't know how we're defining growth.
I think we should use the word mature, because that's a form of growth. But as you get older, you learn different things. You learn how relationship works. You learn, again, what to do, what not to do, what works, what doesn't work. I think those are tools of growth. I think
when I say growth, I mean how to handle that person. You're talking about relationships. When you're talking about growth in a relationship, I should know how. When 20 years ago, I shouldn't be handling you the same way I handled you when you was 20 years ago. In a relationship, you grow together. You grow how to, how to
treat
handle
and interact with one another.
Right. You know how you grow, and that's what when I was speaking on growth.
I think we all, in a sense, but I think some got it misinterpreted in the midst of that.
I had no idea what you meant by growth.
When I say growth, I mean growth and how to handle this relationship. Growth in a relationship.
If you in an argument or whatever, how I responded at 20 I shouldn't be responding like that now.
So what does it look like you said, when one person has grown and the other person had it? What does that look like?
So let's use what she said, for example. She said, if I responded one way at 20, but I shouldn't be responding that way at 40. So if she's 40 and she's responding like her 40-year-old self, and I'm still responding as my 20-year-old self, you see how uneven that is? Mm-hmm. You see how that can cause conflict? Because now she's matured at her age of 40, and like I can actually have a conversation, I can communicate, I can articulate, but at 20, I still can't do that. I'm still responding with rage and attitude and everything, because I yet have learned how to articulate and communicate to my wife the way I should be, as two adults should be. So that's the unevenness.
For sure.
I think I processed that different.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I processed it as more so of how are you guys growing as a companionship?
Does that not include companionship? Because if I got an attitude and if I still handle things as my 20-year-old self, then we won't have companionship, correct?
Exactly. But
so if I grow with you and you've grown,
we
will have companionship, because we now know how to communicate effectively with one another.
But what if you guys are communicating effectively, but growth isn't happening?
How could it not happen?
This is true.
How could it not happen?
It's a miscommunication.
Somebody's not communicating. Because if we're communicating, we are. We are having companionship, we're growing, and we're actually falling more in love with one another, because the communication is different now. Because look, I can talk to her about anything. Now we're going to pillow talk a little bit, and then,
See, and then it comes to the point to where and even in companionship relationships, you know how to handle each other. Because you can have intimacy without even touching each other.
Absolutely.
100%. And you can get to a place where when you get up in age, you can grow old together just holding hands.
And I think, and I'm glad you brought that up, Wanda. So let me say this to all the young people, that as you begin to grow, intimacy, the definition of intimacy changes.
It does.
I'm going to say this. When you're younger, it's physical touch. As you get older, it's what Keishonda was saying earlier about how I define love. It's more now of we're holding hands, we're going to the park, we're even going to the grocery store together, we even having conversation on a ride to the church or whatever. The language changes, and that's intimacy in itself. It's like we don't even have to touch each other, but if we can laugh with one another, if we can just hold hands or just throw a little kiss or just flirt a little bit, that goes a long way. But it takes men longer to get there. So this is she bat her eyes hard on that one. Man, look.
You got a number on that? Like, how
I got no comment.
I almost told her to take them glasses off, because she batted her eyes big time on that one.
Let me say that. Because it takes them longer to get to that point.
Oh, goodness.
We as women have to plan our romantic stuff. We have to do it. Not get an attitude like, oh, he didn't think about this. He's not thinking about that. He's thinking about taking care of the family, cutting the grass, doing all this stuff. We fantasize about, oh, when he come home, when this. Like, plan it. Yeah. Go ahead and plan, because it's not going to happen. It's not happening. You're going to be sitting around like forever. Like, plan it out. Like, please. Don't take it like he don't care about you. His mind is somewhere else. Just go ahead and on the 19th, don't book anything. We going, and we driving to Schaumburg or whatever, just for overnight. Like, you have to do that.
And it's not that we don't want to do it. It's just that what she said, we have everything else on our mind, and it's not like, oh, y'all the last thing. It's actually y'all are the first thing, because that's why we're grinding like that.
Yep.
It's like we want so Wanda. So my thought process, and it took me a minute to get here, is that I wanted to do everything to make it easier on Tina, because I didn't want her to have to really fight and struggle with the world per se. So I said, okay, I'll do that. I'll fight that fight, and then I'll have somewhere to come and where I can relax.
Amen.
Were you like that from the very beginning? When you were,
Amen.
No, I wasn't like that at the beginning, and it's because of trial and error though, because I didn't, or we didn't have an example, and so again, this goes back to the blank canvas. Is we've created our marriage and our relationship is totally opposite than our parents, even our grandparents. Wow. Because we've created something different.
That's good.
You know, and so this is my plea to young people is that you don't have to actually do grandmama's marriage.
Amen.
You don't have to do mama's marriage. You can do your own, but make sure it's healthy more than anything. And you determine what health is. You and your partner determine what a healthy relationship and marriage looks like. And it doesn't involve hurting one another.
Amen.
It doesn't involve taking advantage of one another, manipulating one another. It doesn't. That's not healthy. There's nothing healthy about that. If I have to persuade you and bend you this way and this way to get you to do something, really? Do I need?
They're not gonna be healthy because they're gonna be in bondage.
Right. And so why do I need to be in a situation where I have to bend you to be this person that I really want you to be?
And
so go ahead.
I was gonna say too, when you were saying like you created the space for me. Actually, you did create, because he came on 2 jobs and said, "You're gonna have to quit. I need you at home with these kids," because he was military at one point, and we moved, so we didn't have family around to help us with our kids, and the money I was making was going to daycare. I didn't have anything. So he was working for daycare. So I was just waiting. Yeah. So he was like, "Look, just come off this job and be at home with these kids." Yeah. And by me having that freedom, I knew when stuff was wrong with those kids. Yeah. I could go and pick them up from school if they were sick. Like I love that I had that opportunity to be a stay-at-home mom. Yeah. Like I had, and at a young age, and that's rare that people get that opportunity. Yeah. But I got to see every little thing with them. I was right there with them.
That's
I was
a blessing.
watching, you know what I'm saying? Like I did hair at home on the side, but I was there. I was able to cook. I was able to keep the house together. He didn't have to do nothing. He still don't have to do anything. No. Yeah. He don't have to wash dishes, nothing. And I love that. I want him to be, like he said, when he come home, he can relax and do whatever what he wants to do. But I love being his wife.
Praise God. That's a blessing.
And I think too, and I'll say this to our guys, is like our guys, we got to understand that we are meant to bear the brunt of the marriage when it comes to security, creating safety. Yeah. We're meant to do that, but I think so much is we're living in a time where you got to go to work. We both got to do this. Yeah, the economy is what it is. You know, it takes two, but if you, as a male, if you created a niche for yourself and this way of life, you can do that. You can still create and have that same thing. My thing was I never wanted us to have this idea of an old-fashioned marriage, like she stay at home and go to work. I want her to do whatever she wanted to do. And if she didn't want to work, she didn't have to work, because I knew I had a responsibility as a man to make sure that I took care of her, because I wanted her to make sure my kids were straight. You know, because there is a value in ladies being able to be there present with your kids.
It is.
Because they need that. They really truly need that. So if I know that they need that, then I'm going to go and do what I need to do to make sure that everything else is taken care of.
And can I add one more thing?
Than one.
What?
One more thing, because I know they thinking like, oh, they had all this money. No, we did not.
No.
I had to budget that money. Yeah. I had to make cookies, homemade stuff, because I couldn't go out and buy Oreo cookies and all. Like I had to be creative so that we could live comfortable and he could pay the bills. Right. Like I had to, go to the Goodwill sometime or whatever. And I'm still like a budget. Like he'll tell me like, Tina, we not there no more, but I'm so used to it. But I did that for my family.
Don't that feel good though?
Yeah,
like you say, you love it.
I love doing that.
Yeah.
Like,
but there was a time I worked 2 jobs and I was still in the middle of the night. When she was pregnant with our 3rd child, I had 2 jobs and in the middle of the night, we were putting pennies in penny wrappers to go get her medicine.
What's penny wrappers?
See? You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? You don't even know what penny wrappers are. So they corn wrappers. Like if you got quarters, yeah. So again, she was pregnant with our third child, and I had 2 jobs, and I still couldn't in school, and I couldn't afford to go and buy medicine for her. Because she was, being pregnant. Y'all know when y'all pregnant, y'all have certain medicines and, and all. We couldn't afford that. So we was just that tight. Yeah. But again, what I'm saying is, for me as a man, it didn't matter what I had to do. I just wanted to make sure that she was okay. You know what I'm saying? But at the same token, she also returned that by making sure that everything else was taken care of. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. There is a balance in that. Absolutely. And it's hard to find us men like that. And I wasn't always like this either. So I had to grow in that. That's why I was saying the patience sometimes we prematurely abandon the relationship because that male may be just what you need, but we can't see it right there. It takes time. It's the grace.
See, and that was the thing. Both of y'all was willing, had the willingness to
grow. It takes that.
To sacrifice.
But you know what it was? We wanted what we didn't see.
Yeah.
Like we literally wrote out on paper, like being young, like this is what we, everything we want, all the way down to a garden. Everything we wrote on that paper, we got it now.
Yeah.
It took time.
See, that's what happens when you have something healthy.
Yeah.
It grows.
Yeah.
When you have something unhealthy, it gets stagnated.
Yep.
It don't grow. It don't last.
Yeah.
But when you have something that's healthy, when you have 2 people that's willing to grow and willing to change, willing to build, you can't help but to come up.
Yeah. And the thing,
it's just a matter of time.
The thing that destroys to me, when money is you're on your mind, like we gotta make all this
all
money.
The time.
Like that's a done deal.
That's superficial.
That's a done deal.
Yeah. And it don't bring happiness.
No.
Because making all this money and doing all this, you let something go undone.
Yeah. So let's end this way, because we can talk all night, and I know y'all ladies would love to say a lot more, and we can talk about what we can do later. But how is all of this, the relationships, trying to figure it out, trying to keep a marriage, trying to get married, trying to find the right person, knowing if you're in the ditch, out of the ditch, how is all this playing on your mental health?
I would say
okay.
Mine gonna be quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Mine to say this. That's one of my prayers every day, God.
Yeah.
Created me a clean heart and right spirit, and let this mind be in me that's also in Christ Jesus. Because I have to renew my mind daily.
Every day.
In the Word, and I have to keep focus on that, because we living in a time in society in its relationships. In the time now, if you don't guard your mind and what you think about, what you're thinking about, and stay focused, it'll overtake you.
Gotcha.
Mentally.
Gotcha.
I agree.
And that's one of my things, that mental illness running my family strong. And I know that's one of the things that I pray to God. I want my right mind to the day He called me home.
Gotcha.
So I try. It's important for me to be in good mental health.
Amen.
Gotcha. Allison, I'm gonna come back to you, Mercedes. Go ahead, Allison.
I would totally agree with Miss Wanda. When I had my baby and I was going through postpartum depression, my mind was just all over the place.
Wow.
I never knew I was going to be in such a dark space. But then I had to write sticky notes around my house. If I'm not going to have nothing, I'm going to be in my right mind. So I thank God every day for that.
Wow. Can I ask you something? I hope it is not too personal. Are you with someone? Because you also said that you have your own house. So are you with someone, or you just do it singular?
I do it by myself.
Wow.
Wow.
So that's when you said, the cooking and the cleaning.
Yeah,
you do that.
Yeah.
But then I do the whole providing and all that other stuff.
Absolutely.
So yes, it is difficult.
It is very, very, very.
Wow.
I always say this to young ladies. Even when you're married, if both of y'all are working, something is going to lack.
Yes.
Like that's facts. Like you got to go to work, drop your baby off at daycare, work all those hours. You come home, you still on the clock because you got to take care of your baby.
Yeah.
And then I always say this. Then you got to flip at night with your husband.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's good.
And they don't understand,
front flip, back flip.
but that's real. You got 3.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm like, if you think about like our bodies are not wired like their bodies, like as far as like working. The Bible tells us the man works.
Yeah.
You know, so if we're working, taking care of the kids, and then at night, you know.
That's why they say the lady woman's job is never done.
It's never done. And then you got to go to work. You got to start this all over again. Like you are
all over again.
You are so tired.
Yes, it's a mental strain on you.
It's a mental strain.
So is that your answer for your mental health?
Just start flipping real good.
But you know what?
I like that.
Even though like he is a therapist, like I still have issues with my mental health.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and
you were at that age too, right?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
And even like when stuff started happening with me, he'll be like, "Do you want your husband or do you want the therapist?" Because it's two.
That's right.
That's
girl.
two different things.
Two different.
You
right,
know.
Right.
And most of the time he can tell, because I do have anxiety, he can tell when it's elevated. And it bothers me about anxiety is it comes out of nowhere.
Yes.
It comes out of nowhere.
No warning.
No warning. You can't, you're trying to control it, you can't, and then you're making it worse. So I guess I'm constantly like learning tools to learn how to deal with it, and it's still a struggle, And if you never suffered with it or had incidents like mine get so bad I have to go to the hospital.
Stop claiming it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand you.
You know what I mean? Like it's paralyzing.
I know.
It's feel like you having a heart attack.
They diagnosed me with anxiety as well.
So when it comes on, like I said, it'll catch you off guard. It takes you a minute. Yeah, it takes you a minute to like okay, you are in an attack. Take your medicine, calm down, breathe, and all that. Blow bubbles, go outside, whatever you got to do.
Right.
That is still a struggle.
Okay.
Every day.
Miss Keishonda.
My mental health. So I don't know if it's a good thing, bad thing, but I'm realizing the longer I'm married, the more my mental health is tied and connected to my husband. So I notice about myself that I'm up or down depending on how things are going in my marriage. So like, I think you said earlier that like you can't be like in a certain space for so long.
Right.
But I don't know if I can be in a certain space for so long, but like if things aren't going well in my marriage, then other things in my life suffer. So I noticed that about my mental health.
I think that's
so that's across the board.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean,
you jacked up
like
all day.
The only, I guess it's a good thing though. I guess I can thank God that's really the only thing that kind of affects my mental health in a negative way. Everybody goes through the typical, black woman stuff in America, but really the only thing that like has a negative impact on my mental health is when I'm going through a ditch in marriage.
Absolutely.
So working through that is can be difficult at times, but it's also hopeful, or I don't know what word to put on it, but it feels good on the other side of it, if that makes sense, to be able to work through that and still.
Okay. Somewhat I like that. Diamond, what you got?
Yeah. Oh, she hit that right on the head, because she basically that's basically how I feel. When me and my husband go through our rough patches, it's like everything else. It migrates to everything else in my life, right? But I actually thank y'all for allowing me to even sit in on this, because I just literally learned a lot. This afternoon, me and my husband got over our rough patch, but now when I go back home, it's not going to be like a cloud of me standing in this like earnest, if that makes sense. It's more of going in there with grace. I don't know which one of y'all said that,
This
but
is the grace lady right here. This is grace right here.
with that grace,
you need that.
You gotta have. Amen.
Definitely keeping a schedule, because I'm more of a type of person that's learning how to prioritize things, so I need to really keep a schedule in order to keep my mental health together, because if not, I'm everywhere. Saying yes to this podcast, right? This I had to say no to something, right? Like I have to be there 24/7 when my son would come down to his homework. Right now he's struggling in his homework, right? And my husband, he's in another world as far as his organization and all of this, so it's like I am playing all those roles to keep this like equilateral triangle, you know. So I'm finally understanding the prioritizing and all of that, to where I'm even cutting out social stuff.
I got you.
Means nothing to me nowadays. So it's like, to keep my mental health, definitely church. When I tell you, like, I'm going to Wednesday Bible studies faithfully, like, that's even keeping me grounded. So yeah, I would say definitely like prioritizing everything would allow my mental health to stay clear.
You got the floor.
Yeah.
Mercedes, you got the floor.
Oh, okay. This has been I knew you was gonna do this. I knew you was gonna do this. Ooh. This has been a bit of vulnerable moment for me, because this time last year, my mental health was probably the worst it had ever been in my life. Like, speaking on postpartum, I went through postpartum depression, terrible. I went through postpartum. I was having relationship issues at the same time. And it was just such a place where, like, I didn't want anybody or anything but my son. Like, I clung to it. Like, I just wanted to. And I went into that whole Olivia Pope syndrome at the worst way. Like, I don't want nobody. I can do it by myself. I'm going to figure it out. And that played a huge role in just the falling of my relationship, because I wasn't, I just wanted my child, and I wasn't communicating. Y'all know I talk a lot. I don't know how to shut up sometimes. And I became quiet, and that's how people knew. And it was such a, like, after I had my son, I didn't know so much could happen to your mental health when you have a child. And we as women have to talk more about our experiences of birth and mother, because my biggest fear before I had my son was having a child. And it was of how the hospitals treat you. What if he doesn't make it? What if I don't make it? All these different things. So after I had him, I clung to him, and I was having night terrors. And then before I had him, I lost my grandmother. And that was like my mother figure. And it was so much that was going on with the mother side, with the relationship, that I didn't even know who I was. But I'm still having to be there for a mom. I'm still having to show up in the community. I'm still having to show up for my clients. I'm still having to show up. And I'm not even able to show up for myself.
Wow.
And that was like a moment where I was really like, I had a couple like breakdowns, like where family really had to come in and be like, are you okay? And that was the time where I had to learn, like, one, you're not in control, stop being in control. And I really had to lean into my faith. Because that, I was at a point that I never knew that I could be at, because in my mind I did it all right. I did exactly what I was supposed to do. Except for the baby, he was supposed to be after marriage, but that's okay. That's okay. I got him, and I'm grateful for him. But in my mind, it was like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm putting out good energy, so things are gonna go great. And I had to learn that lesson of life is gonna life. And it was scary for me, because my mind uncontrollably went to places and went to thoughts that I never thought I could think. And so now I've had to learn how to, like, I work for myself and I have clients. And it was such a joy for me. First off, my son goes to Miss Wanda's daycare. But it was such a joy for me to be able to go on his first field trip with him. But having him taught me how to take time for me, because before that, I didn't know how to say no. I didn't know how to sit down. If you asked me to do something, I was going to figure it out. I was a workaholic. I barely slept. I drank a lot of coffee. Like, it was like, oh my gosh, I got to make it happen. I got to make it happen. And now I'm at a point where it's like, first off, my kid comes before anything. I come before my kid because I got to be good for him. But then it's my son. And I have boundaries now. I didn't have boundaries before. I didn't have boundaries in my relationship.
Yes.
I didn't have boundaries with family. And now I'm at a point where I understand through the trials of becoming a mother, your mental health affects everything
for sure
around you. I couldn't be there for people because I wasn't able to be there for myself. And now, like a year later, literally a year and a month later, I'm in such a different space where I'm able to co-parent at my best. I'm able to express if something's going on. I'm able to talk to my family. I'm able to say no, but I'm able to take days. Like I have days, like Wednesdays are my days. I work from home, I clean my house. Wednesdays and Mondays, those are my days where it's like, okay, if you don't have time to do this, this is what you do. So I have backup days now. I've learned how to prioritize myself rather than other people, because if I'm empty, I got a kid I got to be here for. So it's been a journey, but I want to take this moment to really just shout out to you and Miss Tina, because I pay attention to how you guys navigate, and well, you know my whole life, so you just do. But seeing how you guys navigate your family and your marriage and your mental health has really been able to take me, and even like with working with you and Dinesh, it's been able to take me into a space of, we do so much work about mental health. It was like, hey, hold on a minute. You're not going to be a hypocrite. So I had to shift a lot of things. If this is the work that you're going to be doing, you have to be able to prioritize your mental health.
Amen.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yes, that's good.
You know, guys, I really enjoyed having you guys on the podcast. It's fresh, it's green, it's ever flowing. I appreciate all the wisdom that you guys have brought. And my prayer is that someone that is watching will take some nuggets from this, because, so many of you guys have done it on your own, by yourself, until whoever came in your life and whoever you're still looking for. So my hat's off to you guys. I will speak on behalf of men, more specifically black men. We want a strong woman, but we also want a sensitive woman. I want you to be able to be a woman. I want you to be able to be a lady, but also don't need me as much because I'm out doing what I need to do. You know what I mean? And so the pressures that's put on young men today is like, you're never here, you never come here, you never do this. Well, if he's out working, he doesn't have time to come and sit on you all the time. So allow him to do that, and when, hopefully, prayerfully, when he's done, he will come and sit with you and have a conversation with you. But how you build your relationships is extremely important. The boundaries that you set, the foundation that you build is going to be really totally up to you. I will be honest and say that we want women or our mates to guide us, because some of us don't have it. We don't know what it is, what it looks like, so we need to hear it from you. And so if you can guide us in some of these things that we're confused about, that helps and goes a long way. A man will accept that. If you have something that you feel that needs to happen in that relationship, your response and your speaking up will go a long way. So don't be shy about speaking up. Make sure you love him, and he will love you even more. But it's the type of person you get. So you have to be careful. Do your homework. Do your homework. Make sure that this is the person that God has brought in your life, because we can mess some stuff up. We can really truly mess some stuff up. So my thing to you guys is just keep being the women that you are. Demand respect. Demand a level of standard for your man, because again, some of us don't have any standard. And so it needs to be set for us. And if you, Keishonda said it, if you demand it, they will listen. If you got a guys coming over to date your daughter, make sure you demand it. Your son, the same way. So when it comes to relationships, demand that out your mate too. Demand that out your mate, because if they want you, they gonna be with you. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't care how strict or how put together you are. if it's not something that's, like demeaning of them, but if they want you, they're going to be there. That's just point blank, period. Mm-hmm. And so what you allow will happen, but you better ask yourself what you're going to allow. Because we are good to a fault, and we are bad to a fault too. So,
yeah.
Well, look, man, as I always say, we all have the ability to change our circumstances only if we focus on what we can change. At the end of the day, you know who you are. Be you, stay safe, and know that God loves you. We're out. Thank you.
Thank you.